I've got a really powerful technique that I want to share with you today. So, as musicians, we love loops, right? They make our lives a lot easier, they make our workflows faster. But loops have a little bit of a problem with them, a little bit of a dark side. They make us kind of lazy. And your listener can hear that, right? When you have a loop that just plays over and over and over and it plays the same thing every time, it doesn't take too long for our human ears to detect and pick up on that. So today the technique I want to show you is simple, but it's really effective for bringing to life those static synth loops that you might have. So I've got an example that I'm going to show you before and after to see what you can do with this technique. So here we're listening for the bass, and I've just got this synth loop that repeats over and over. I'll play it for you a couple of times. You get the idea. It's a pretty cool bass line, but it does get boring after you listen to it a couple times through. Now, let me show you what this sounds like after applying this technique. It's subtle, right? But it's there, and it really makes a difference. Hi, my name's Joe. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and if you're new to the channel, then welcome to you too. Now, I borrowed this technique from modular synthesis, but the way the macros on the Force are set up, you can actually do it here too. I think you're going to be surprised when you find out just how easy this is. Let's get into it. So here we've got our pattern, and for this I'm using hype synth. And let's just first kind of take note of this pattern. These notes are basically touching right up against each other, right? So the length of the note is an eighth note, and each one lasts for an eighth of a beat. So let's take a look at the hype settings, and we're going to come over here into the filter amp section and kind of look how the synth is set up. And for this one, it looks like we've got an amp envelope and a filter envelope, and we definitely have the filter in play. So the idea here is we're going to use some random signals to modulate some of these parameters. And the first one that I think I'd like to take a look at is this attack decay time here. It's currently set to 15%. So let's hit edit and just click any knob and hop over here to our envelope followers. And for the first one, I'm going to set this source to be the random linear LFO, and we'll go ahead and turn it on. And we can just learn a parameter, and I'll come back here to hype synth, and I'm just going to twiddle this attack decay parameter. And if we pop back into the envelope follower, this is now following that. And you can see that it's adjusting it between 0 and 100%, so that's probably way too much. Let's take a look at this. I don't ever want it to go to 0. So maybe we can start this at 9 or something like that. Just kind of feeling it out at this point. And maybe we want to go up to, I don't know, let's try 30. So if we pop back over to hype synth now, we can see what kind of effect this is having. You can see it moving this decay control around. Let's play the loop back. And I like that. I think that we can probably slow this down a little bit. So let's go into this frequency control for this linear envelope, and let's bring this down, I don't know, maybe to 1 hertz. While we're out here, let's go ahead and set up a second envelope follower. So for this one, we'll use envelope follower 2. Same thing, we'll pick this random linear, and I may go ahead and bring this frequency down a bit on here as well. And let's go ahead and click the learn control for this, and we'll come back to hype synth. And for this one, let's learn this envelope depth control. We can go ahead and turn this on. So we've got this going from 0 to 100%, and I mean, that's probably way too much. So let's maybe start this about 50%, and let's maybe try to take it up to 80, for example. So let's check out what this does. We can see this envelope depth parameter moving now. Another parameter that we could try to play with here is this decay control for the filter envelope. So let's set that one up too. So we'll go to envelope follower 3. I'm going to select the random linear. Again, we'll move this frequency down a bit. turn it on, and we will learn this filter decay control. I think that's a bit too extreme. If this video has been helpful for you, it would mean a lot to me if you would hit the like button. I use that to kind of gauge which of these videos have been the most helpful for folks, so thanks for that. Let's talk about what other parameters you might be able to adjust and how to identify which ones are good ones and maybe which ones aren't. So if we come back over into Hype, I look at the controls that are available on this, and we've got the sync, we've got a noise control, we've got the actual oscillator control, the mix control. So one thing we can do is kind of play with these in real time and see which ones have drastic impacts on the sound. So for example, if I were to adjust the oscillator type, it's going to make it sound like a completely different instrument. So maybe that's not what we want to do. I mean, that could be cool if you were going for like a modular kind of sound patch, but we can probably find some controls that don't have as drastic of an impact on the sound, so they still sound like the same instrument, but just like it's being varied in the way that it plays it. For example, let's check out this noise control. That's pretty subtle, but it does have an impact over time as you listen to it. So let's modulate that. So we'll go choose another envelope follower. And this time we'll choose the same random linear. Let's maybe bring the frequency down on this as well. And we'll come over here and back to our Hype synth. And we'll learn this noise control. Let's make sure this is good. Right, onto the drum track. I've got some hi-hats playing here on the third instrument, so let's go over here and pop over and take a look at that and see what might be a good thing to adjust on this to give it some subtle variation. I'm thinking that maybe the decay parameter on this one would be good as well, but let's test that out. I like it. Let's set up a modulation for that. So we'll edit the knobs. Come back here to envelope follower 5. Set a random linear LFO, turn it on. Again, I think we can bring the speed down on this. You're just going to have to dial these frequencies in to taste. And we'll go ahead and learn this parameter for decay. Well, hopefully you feel like you've got a new superpower for taking loops that are just kind of static when they're repeated over and over, and just really easily making them into something more dynamic and something that you can play over and over and over again without the listener really getting bored. If you've enjoyed this video today, I've got many more like this. Feel free to check out my playlist up above with Akai Force and MPC tips and tricks. That's what I've got for you today. My name's Joe. I'll catch you next time.